define the mindset of a slave and has society taught us not to be free?
Wait. What?
All right.
Hold on. Can I hear that question again?
Oh, but she won't say the question again. Design the mindset define. Oh, go ahead.
Define the mindset of a slave and has society taught us not to be free?
How society taught us not to be free. All right. Now, I'm going to jump to the end and say, this is not a black folk question. Because there are more than just black folk who are slaves.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I was thinking too.
I'm going to mess up your mind and tell you something you're going to wrestle with for over a decade. That the Europeans who enslaved, let's just talk about American slavery, because there's different forms of slavery, but there's nothing like American slavery. The Europeans who enslaved the Africans, they were actually the first slaves, okay? Because you have to first be a slave here to then have the consciousness to then enslave people, all right? I haven't even started answering this question yet. Let me just get this stuff out the way, okay? Get this stuff out the way. Then the tail end of that is us. So the question includes the asker in the slaveness of the question. And then society. We're obviously not calling society in this question. You use the word society, but you mean more of outside or oligarchy, which means a few people who are a ruling, governing body. Because you don't mean society as a whole, because you can't say society as a whole has us slaves, because then it voids the question. Right? You can't be the slaver and the slavee. Yeah. So you're using society different there. All of that is gone. So we're just going to re-ask this question with the power you asked it. Define a slave mentality and a mindset and how some entity keeps slaves. Simple, okay? So what is the slave? Is there a slave mindset? Because see, what we're doing is, scoot over a little bit so I can see you. What we're doing is, no, not you. No, you fine. You the cameraman. You can't scoot over. Okay, you get it moving. All right. We're making assumptions here. We're making assumptions that people do have a slave. Please know, I could sit somebody right here next to me, and somebody would say, ain't no slaves, you tripping, you can get it like me. And there's nobody being oppressed. Herschel Walker just got on TV and said black folk, Hall of Famer, Herschel Walker, National Football League, just got on TV and said black folk have never been oppressed. That just happened, all right? No, seriously, look it up. That just happened. Look it up, okay? That just happened. There's a lot going on here. And in the lotness of what's going on here, the new slavery is debt slavery. And we need to talk about that as fast as possible. Now you got three forms of slavery that are relevant throughout the world today. And pretty much the same people are benefiting from this slavery. There's three new forms of slavery that have more people enslaved all at once than American slavery ever had. So before I get to these three forms of slavery, let's define slavery. Slavery has always been around the world. There are no conflicts of race until 1612 with the doctrine. So 1612 and moving forward. I'll just name a bunch of stuff, and then because they have different timelines. In Maryland, you have the Doctrine of Exclusion, and then that Doctrine of Exclusion becomes the slave codes, and then the slave codes become something else, and then the Manumitous Act. I'm just missing my brain right now. Look it up for me. Trust me, it'll spell it for you. The Manumertus Act, something like that. Okay, then that becomes, and then that becomes, and that becomes something else, it becomes something else. And then 1994, it becomes the Omnibus Crime Bill Act that President Clinton and Joe Biden champion, and then it becomes something else, it becomes something else, it becomes something else, it becomes something else. Slavery has always been, but before 1612 and now, it's like the Manumertus, just type in Manumertus Act, and then it should fix it for you. Right? Now, here's the issue. From 1612 on, we have two different types of slaveries. We're going to talk about that 1612 until the present day, because that's where your question comes from. But the other slavery was just issues between ethnic groups. That's all. We won the war. You lost the war, Grace. Don't worry about it. You can just stay. They know what I'm talking about. They can Google it. We won the war. You lost the war. You my slave now. But you can get your freedom back. I may, make you fight like a gladiator. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm Roman, you're Greek, and fight like a gladiator, fight to the death. It'd be in Hebrews. All right, 7 years I give you up, and what you call it, Jubilee, or something like, all these things. These were just issues between ethnic people. That's it. Now back to the question. This other slavery is where this question comes from, because it's the only slavery I know. Now what we have here is these three slaveries, or these three forms of slavery that are taking over the whole world, that have more people enslaved than African slavery ever has. From least to greatest, and I don't mean as far as what hurts the less, I mean numbers, okay? I mean numbers. From least to greatest, you would have sex slavery. See, sex trafficking. You're going to have to respect that. You're going to have to respect the fact that there are more people being sex trafficked than American slavery ever was. Like right now, to this day, there are more women and children being sex slaves by some sick people, you understand, than more than African American slaves combined has ever had. And that's more, and that's the least in population. Then you have what we call prison system. And this is mostly in America, process this information. The whole world has prisons. The whole world has slaves. But America had the most slaves. It's in the same manner that America had the most slaves, it's the same manner America has the most prisons. Why? Because America never outlawed slavery. The 13th Amendment let slavery keep going. So of course America has the most people in prison, because America has always had the most slaves. I just said a whole lot. America has always had the most slaves. That's why we always will have the most prisoners. Because we didn't get rid of slavery. So that's the second amount. And then the third, I already mentioned, the highest here is debt slavery. I'm in the top 1%. I part of the people that control 90% of the world's income. So here you have 1% controlling 90% of the world's income. That means you got 3% controlling another 6% of the world's income. So essentially you got 3% left, or 4% left, and that's 96% of the people are fighting over 4% of the world's income. That's debt slavery. This has always been, they trialed and error. They've made sure that I don't want to pay for you no more, Chris. See, I used to pay for your great-great-great-granddaddy. I told your great-great-great-granddaddy to get up and pick that stuff. But listen, Chris, I was a good slave master, okay? I was a good slave master, Grace. I was good to your great-great-great-great-grandmother. I let her eat from my farm. I was good. Okay, I was good. No. I was a good slave master. I gave your great-great-great-great-grandmother somewhere to stay. I paid for that. And I gave you something to eat. That was my field, my crop. And you just had to work it. And you just had to sleep where I told you to sleep. As terrible as it sounds, that's what happened. But now it's like, Grace, I ain't doing that no more. You go eat yourself. Don't miss me now. Chris, you go find you a place to stay. I ain't paying for that either. I ain't paying for your food. I ain't paying for your house. As a matter of fact, them kids you keep having, I ain't paying for them either. I'll tell you what, y'all go pay for yourself. but you're still my slave. Run me that credit card debt. Run me that mortgage. Run me those taxes. You see this here? Because if I didn't want you to be my slave, I would just give you your yearly salary today.
True.
Yeah. What the hell you make $9 an hour for? How about I just calculate that? As long as I'm saying you're gonna be here, give it all to you at once. No, because I need you to make just enough money to keep on coming back. So there you go there. Now, the last part of this question. So what keeps us there? The biggest thing that keeps us in slavery is not lack of knowledge. That has definitely something to do with it. That's actually got a lot to do with it. I can make a whole case on that. But it's not lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge is distractions. It is people in power keeping you distracted. Because I'd far rather you entertained than educated. So what I want to do is I want to suppress your votes, but then tell you that, don't worry about voting anyway. Voting don't matter. I know, I see it. Voting don't matter. But if voting didn't matter, then why they keep trying to suppress your votes?
Come on.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why do we pay bills online but we don't vote online? Because the country at large, or any country at large, is liberal, not conservative. You know what I'm saying? Because you know when you become conservative? When you got your own economy and you got your own money. But most people ain't got their own economy and their own money. So they liberal. They saying, look, God dog it, I need some help. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. So land this here plane, man. This is a matter of you're entertained. You're distracted. The way that I keep, and listen to me, the way that I keep a slave is I don't take everything from you. I take plenty from you, but I give you enough to have hope. Because the moment I take all hope from a man is the moment I no longer control that man. But if I take a lot but give you hope, I keep you a slave. But if I take all hope from you, I create a rebellion. The answer to your question is hope. It is hope that keeps you enslaved. Because I keep giving you the illusion of hope. Because once I take it, you'll overthrow the government. Antonio T. Smith Jr., you can plan better. You can dominate.